Okay guys, welcome back. Okay, what you're looking at here is a 36-inch bridge cabinet with 21 inches of height and a 30-inch bridge cabinet with 12 inches of height. And these are going to go above my refrigerator and my washer dryer and connect to my pantry cabinet. So what I want to do is connect these two cabinets the way you normally would connect, cabinets in a series. But instead of going through the face frame, which is very common, and trying to join up and then having that looking there on the face frame, those bolts or nuts or screws, whatever. What we're going to do is connect them inside the face frame, and I'll explain that to you when I come back on camera with what I need to make this make sense. I'll show you. So I'm going to hand the camera to my wife and let her pick it up from here. Okay, so this is the cabinets, then they're upside down. So why I put them upside down is to level them. So that way, remember, we want these to be flush, not only left to right, east to west, but we also want them flush north to south. So the way to get them perfectly lined up is to put them upside down on a table or whatever your work surface is. Look at your line, adjust it accordingly, and get it within a 64th of an inch for height. So that's what this is here. That's what this shim is doing here. And then these will come together like this. Okay, so as I mentioned, what we want to do is not use the face frames, but to use behind the face frames. So you're going to measure the distance between these two cabinets. Now, in theory, it's the distance of the face frame that sticks out for the skin, which we don't need. And then, of course, this one, which also has a face frame for a skin, which we don't need. Now, again, my measurement is going to be could be slightly different than yours. I use millimeters. You may use inches. So you will get your measurement. So we're just going to call it X. So we're going to measure for X, because what we want to do is we want to put a piece of wood in between here, so that when we pull this together, these two are going to keep the same distance, and then we're going to screw from here through here, and then from here to here on both sides. So this one we'll do underneath, so it won't be seen, and this one we'll do in the back corner and then the front corner, which we think is preferable than putting it in the face frame. So that's what these two things are going to give us. Now, of course, we're going to cut this off. This was just to show you the width. There's no reason to go in here. We just need one on the back. So I set my saw to cut this. This is just a standard 2x4 cut down to fit in here. You don't want it over snug, but you want it within, probably less than a millimeter. I don't know. But anyway, so when this comes together, this will come together. We'll countersink our screws. It'll tighten everything up, and that'll hold this together. So then when we flip it, when we get to the point where we're going to flip it and then support this cabinet, then they'll stand and they'll be completely aligned. So this is the process of lining up the cabinets, securing the cabinets, but not using the face frame. So this is something Richard and I talked about. He's probably been doing this for a while. I had this idea, and he said, yeah, this is how, so we talk through it, and this is what I believe we're going to do. So I'm going to cut these off at the appropriate height, and then we're going to use our countersink, and we're going to put the screws in about in here. In fact, this will probably come in a little bit, quite honestly. It'll probably be more like this. It'll probably be like that. And this will come together. Now, if this becomes a little bit narrow, I did cut several pieces. There we go. That's a little bit better. All right. Yeah. See that? Yeah. That's a little bit better. Yeah. See, even though you're running various pieces through your saw, they're going to vary a little bit. A little bit of variance there. So we just want to make sure that when we pull this together, the frames come in and they line up. So this one actually seems just a little bit thick, quite honestly. Yeah, this is probably the leftover piece, so that's way too. Okay guys, let me get you caught up here. All right, so you can see we put this stick in just to hold space. So this is not secure. This is just to hold space because we don't want to be running into any of the faceplate, right? So we had to use that as a spacer. Okay, now if we come over to the other side with the camera, you can see that my reel stick is running right there. So once I got this in and I confirmed I was where I wanted to be on the stick, I measured from here to here, and that's how I got the second screw in here to here. And you can see I used the clamp just to give it some extra holding power so nothing would move around. Then again, I measured the distance from here to here, which we knew was, for me, 3.5 inches, so I knew that was going there. I made sure this one was between the other two and not running into a cam. And now we've measured out the last one to be 3 inches off the top, 3.5 inches in. So I'm gonna stop the camera, remove this, do my last hole, and then put in the last screw. I'll show you that. And then we'll be able to flip the cabinet upright. I'm sorry. Then we'll be able to do the back ones in the same way. Then we'll be able to gently take the cabinet, flip it, and then have it supported. And life should be good. All right, so here's me now putting in the last screw for the front side. Notice I upped my game and invested in a better screwdriver set. Now what we'll look to do is match some type of a sticker with this color that'll cover this, like a little, little sticker. But even if you only saw this and this, to me that's much better than seeing it over here. Okay, you got that, Sandy? Okay, so we've taken both cabinets, very gingerly turned them upside down, or back, back to the orientation. I built this as a holder, just so we could, do our checking. We're on flush. We are on flush. We are just a little high here. I mean, like the thickness of maybe half a fingernail. The good news is, because this is all up against the ceiling, when you're looking at it from down here, I mean, there'd be no way to tell you were off just ever so slightly. All right, so the idea then, just to give you the full picture of why we had to go through this much trouble. Okay, this is the back side of the cabinets, and you can see I've put this ugly piece of plywood across there. That's going to serve two purposes. One, it helps stabilize the two cabinets because of the way we're going to be placing them. You'll see that in just a minute. But it's also going to be a way we can top anchor to add some stability. Again, it's just because of the unusualness of how I have to install these two cabinets. Maybe not the preferred method, but what I'm going to do to try to make it work. So I'll show you where we're installing them in a later clip, and you'll see why these two cabinets are critical as they're going to be attaching to my pantry cabinet. Okay, so there's the pantry cabinet, not secured, but certainly leveled and ready to be secured. We can't secure the pantry cabinet until we lift the other two cabinets up and connect them to the adjoining wall, or the adjacent wall, I guess we'd call it, opposite wall, because we have to critically match the 66 inches exactly to the pantry cabinet. So if we have to pull the pantry cabinet in 1/4 of an inch or out 1/4 of an inch from its current location, we'll do that before we do the connections, because there's nothing going to be between these three cabinets. It's cabinet, cabinet, pantry, and that's going to form the built-in look above our washer and dryer and refrigerator, which of course I'll show you later. Okay, thank you. All right, here is the semi-finished product. You can see the two cabinets that I had previously joined together are now part of a triplet, with the pantry cabinet there being the anchor. There is nothing between the pantry cabinet and the next cabinet, the 36-inch bridge cabinet, and the 36-inch bridge cabinet. The depth on those is just the standard 14 inches, even though it does go back much further. We've always found that trying to reach back there is impossible, so why not? So that's all void space behind those cabinets, so that's why I had to join them and then attach them at the anchor point there on the far right, and then here on the left, and you can even see a piece of the wood I have between the face plates there sticking up that I use to join the cabinets. I don't know if I can get in close enough to see. I can try to do one of those little, but right inside the face frame is where I connected them. You can see this is where I've connected those. And then maybe up there you might be able to see where I connected to the wall. And then remember, behind this cabinet with that ugly piece of white plywood, I have some L brackets going into the ceiling, and I've ordered some lug type 6-inch bolts, kind of an extended cabinet bolt, more of an outdoor bolt, that's going to go in the front and go up through that 3 inches we have there above the ceiling, where the crown molding is going to go, and into the appropriate studs. Now, it won't be as critical on these cabinets because they won't hold as much weight as my standard cabinets will, with plates, you know, and glasses, that kind of thing. But it's going to be a good way to practice and get those bolts lined up. Probably have to use a little bit of trickery to get them lined up. Make sure I'm going and see this. Here's a good example. See the hole right there. That's a stud. That marks a stud. So it'll be going up through the cabinet, and then 3 inches of dead space, and then into the drywall, and then into the stud. That's why the bolts have to be 6 inches. But we got the doors, of course, laying within the cabinets and over here in the pantry, because we don't want to do any damage to them as we continue the rest of our work. But that's this is in fact the cornerstone. Everything now is going to be based off this height. Coming over here, just to show you how this is where we're going to have our oven box. You can actually see it there in the corner, kind of in pieces. The oven box will be there. There'll be the upper cabinets, and then the range hood, and then of course the crown. And then swinging over, we'll have a 36-inch cabinet where that old wall cabinet is kind of acting like a base cabinet. So we'll have a standard base cabinet and 36 inches here. And then this is my old pantry cabinet. And over here where we were going to initially put the range hood, that's what that drawing is up on the wall. That's going to be two 21-inch cabinets. And then of course we'll have drawers, dishwasher, sink base, and then another 18-inch cabinet, which you saw me assemble first. That's the first cabinet that goes right over there to the far right. So thanks for hanging in there. Just trying to give you a little inspiration, a little motivation. Oh, there's me. Hello. It's a process. Still a little work here. All this was soffitted, and I had to take out all the soffits and rerun all the wiring. And you know, there you go. Good, get the crown in. But a little bit of work, but certainly the payoff seems to be worth it. Until next time, guys.